It's recording. Great. Okay. So, learning a new subject or exploring a new technology always demands a couple of things. One is definitely the interest, and it demands some time from you because, you have to learn the technology and understand the technology, practice it. And of course, once you learn and master the subject, then you have to apply the skill, whatever you've learned. So, all this needs some kind of interest and time, and I'm sure you all have it. So today's demo is expected to be for an hour or so, and can extend for some more minutes based on the QAs that you have or any questionnaires that you might come up with. So let me quickly scroll you through today's agenda. So today's agenda would be trainer introduction. That would be my introduction, followed by a student's introduction. So you would introduce yourself, what made you to think about Salesforce, and do you have any prior experience, or what is your educational background as such. So it would be, just on overall or a brief explanation of yourself. And then we would look into what is the cloud computing, and we would understand the sales cycle, and then we would know what exactly is CRM, and followed by Salesforce, what exactly is Salesforce and how it fits in sales, cloud as well as sales. And then we would look into the course curriculum. We would discuss in detail what are the things that you would be learning in the training, and what is the key takeaway of the training as such. And then, of course, we all this is all about doing settling down with a right job and a demanding job. So we would discuss the career opportunities as well, followed by question and answers if you have any. Okay. So let me not waste the time and quickly go through the next slide, which would be the trainer introduction. And I'm glad to introduce myself. I'm Deepak, and I have almost like 15 years of experience in a CRM industry. And my career started with GE, and then I worked for Accenture, and then I worked for IBM for almost 9 years, and then started contracting for some startups as such. So I am a certified Salesforce developer, and my career started with Cebu, and then followed by Oracle on CRM on demand. So, and I've been training a couple of students for the past few years, and everyone has been successful. My hobbies include, singing, or playing drums. Of course, not now, but when I feel lonely or when I feel tense, then I start singing and playing drums. And caroms is one thing that I love to play. So this is all about me, and let's go ahead and start with the student's introduction one by one. Okay, can we start with Nisha?
Sure. Okay. This is Nisha. My name is Nisha Pradeep, and in fact, I'm already a Salesforce admin certified.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm trying to change my career here for
Great.
Salesforce from a completely different background.
Oh,
I
great.
have done my SQL, and I was working in Visual Basics, and then
Mm-hmm.
moved to a completely different thing. Like I did a ABA. It's called a behavior analysis, like a clinical psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been working in that field for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I took a break for a couple of years, and now I want to get back with Salesforce.
Ah, okay.
Uh,
So,
I'm from
so
Bangalore and engineering background.
oh, great, great. So, Nisha, are you currently working, or are you in a break now?
I am on break trying to get into work, like
Oh,
workforce.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
how long was the break? Was it just 1 year or a couple of years?
it's about 1.5 year.
Okay. So I know that you have experience in Salesforce administration and said you are also certified. So it would be very easy for me to teach you Salesforce development and all. Trust me.
Sorry, I'm not experienced in Salesforce. I just did the
Okay.
online course and I got certified.
Wow. So you learned it or by yourself and you got certified in Salesforce administration. Great. Great to hear that, Nisha.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. Now let's proceed to Reshma. Okay. Ruchi, Mike is not responding. I want to know if coding experience prior required. Okay. So is Reshma on the call or hi Reshma? Reshma, could you brief about yourself? Or Reshma, probably, Ruchi, in the meanwhile, can you type in about your experience and do you have any prior experience working in IT industry and what made you to move into, attend this demo? Okay. So let me go back. So I feel that the very first question all of you might have in your mind is I don't have a development background. Can I be a Salesforce developer, and can I take this training? My answer is honestly yes. If you take this training, you will showcast yourself as a BA, you know, business analyst. If he doesn't have any programming background, what exactly the BA would do is they would typically write up the requirements. While doing so, they have to go through the code and see what the exact existing functionality is. So this training would definitely help them to understand what is written in the code and where to look for the issues and how to understand the functionality before writing up any requirement. And the other job role that could be is techno-functional consultant, and this would be for the people or the students who has partial background with the development. When I say a partial knowledge in the development is like basic idea of some other languages, like they might be working in Java or .NET. So even that is helpful. And if you have experience in some other programming languages, that would be also great benefit. But trust me, there are a couple of things that need to know in Salesforce development is like if else conditions and for loops, which is of course you have in any other programming language, and then how to store the data and how to retrieve the data. So all these concepts are briefly covered in the training, and I would explain the next slides while I explain the course curriculum, which is the part of the agenda. So with that, let me start with question. So what comes into your mind the moment you hear the word Salesforce? Just tell me or type in whatever that comes into your mind. What exactly is Salesforce?
Okay, it's a CRM tool based on the cloud. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Nisha, I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so you want me to go ahead and tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a CRM tool based on the cloud. It has like a different platform. You can go for like a SaaS and PaaS, completely based on the cloud.
Perfect. So to be precisely, you say that right, Salesforce is a CRM tool based on cloud, right?
Yes.
Okay. And does Reshma or Ruchi have any additional things to add to Nisha? Okay. So I think they agreed to you, Nisha. So let me go to the slide. And sorry. Oops, sorry. Okay. So as Nisha said, Salesforce CRM is a cloud-based CRM tool. So if you look at the statement, it says Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM. So there are some more things that needs to be looked. Cloud and CRM. So before getting into the Salesforce itself, we need to understand what is cloud and what is CRM, and how Salesforce comes into picture using this cloud and CRM. So let's talk about cloud computing first. Now, if you look at the picture here, so there are a couple of things. One is, this picture tells you almost everything as what Nisha said about the cloud programming. And let me explain in brief what this picture says. You see a couple of devices around the cloud, right? There is a cloud here, and phones, tablets, desktops, servers, and laptops around the cloud. And there are a couple of resources or devices inside the cloud, which is bifurcated into three sections: application, platform, and infrastructure. So the cloud is the center here. There are devices around the cloud and inside the cloud. Okay, so when we talk about cloud computing, here we talk about accessing the resources or computing some kind of logic using the computer itself. Okay, now let's talk about what inside the cloud: application, platform, and infrastructure. These are defined as models inside the cloud. Okay. Now let's have a look at all these three models and their significance. Let's talk about application first. We see various applications here. One is monitoring application, which could be used to monitor some kind of shares or some kind of the performance of application as such. The content application. Content is something like to store some news, documents, etc. Collaboration is something like meeting meeting application. Communication is something like sending an emails and exchanging communication. And finance, it's a kind of a reporting application. So all these are applications, and all these various applications are consumed by the user who are around the cloud. Okay. Now there could be several applications based on this application model. Like the Salesforce is one classic example. Workday, Google Apps. So, and next coming to the platform. This model, as the name says, it serves for the computing platform to build or develop any application. Let's say you have an application. If you want to use that application, definitely you need to build the application first, right? So that is where this model, the platform model, concentrates on. This model provides the computing platform to build or develop any application. Typical components of this model include, the operating system, or a programming language, or execution environment, or database. So we don't have to worry all about this. I'm just trying to explain what is cloud computing. So we don't deal with all this terminology like OS or programming language or database or anything as such, but I want to give you what exactly the cloud computing means. So I'm just starting with a conversation of dealing with taking you what cloud means and what are the models that it has. And already Misha said it's a cloud-based application. It has infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. So I'm introducing you to the terminology so that you could understand the Salesforce better. You don't have to learn all this, you don't have to by heart all this. You just have to know what is cloud computing. That is what my intention is. Okay. So, and let's look at the third one, infrastructure. Infrastructure, as the name says, it provides you the platform for the computer infrastructure, like the physical equipment, like servers and firewalls, routers, network cables, RAMs, etc. So all these models are combined together and form into a cloud. Okay. Any questions? I know this is something like a new to you, but are we clear on what I have explained? So the cloud is a group of resources which falls under several categories: application, platform, and infrastructure. Each of these three models has their own significance. Application model provides you, to access the applications, whereas the platform model provides the platform to build the applications, and the infrastructure model defines the architecture or provides the infrastructure to build this cloud platform, which can be shared or accessed by the resources outside of the cloud. Okay? That is what this slide explains about. Are we clear so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me move to the next slide. Okay. The definition. So you can read through the definition, what it says. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, applications, and other IT resources through a cloud services platform via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So this is the definition. We don't have to by heart it, but we will try to understand what exactly the meaning of this definition. Now it says, cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computing power and database storage, which is nothing but the components of platform we discussed in earlier slide, which are like, the OS that is required, the programming language, the runtime environment, etc. Okay, and then it says applications. Applications is nothing but various applications that we saw, like monitoring application, finance report, content, communication, etc. And other IT resources, which means RAM, with to process or to compute the algorithms, storage, and routers, which are the physical components that form the infrastructure. So it basically says the same thing. So it's a combination of applications that built on platform which is supported by the infrastructure, and it also says on demand. Okay, via the internet and pay as you go pricing. Okay, now let me not confuse you guys. So let's forget about computers and discuss something else. So I'm sure all of you must, love pizza and have ordered at least once, right? Okay. Let me go back to site here. Do you see my screen, or is it gone?
Oh, I can see it.
Okay. Pause. And I would love to share this one. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I want you to understand what I'm trying. Uh, in the slide we saw, it says on demand via the internet and pay as you go. So I want you to explain, understand, what I'm trying to demonstrate. So I went to the Domino's site here, and I'm trying to, order something. Let me put in the zip code here, 94087. Search for some location. Okay, future carrier order. Select time. Okay, it is close now. 11:30. Let me put it as okay. Okay, so I'm building my own pizza here. I would add to order. Okay, I would add all these toppings. Okay, and I would add one more pizza here. Okay, I'm just ordering it randomly. Yes, customize. Add to order. Okay, now I'll go to checkout. No, go to checkout. Okay, so what I've done here, right? I have opened a browser in my laptop, and I went to the Domino's site, and I've started placing the order. Okay, I did a couple of actions here. What is that? I've connected to the internet, and the Domino's site is hosted on the internet. And what I'm doing after entering the Domino's site, I have added the pizza and some, toppings, right? And I've added the pizza. So what I'm doing here, I am adding the toppings as and when I need it. And if I don't want this topping, ranch dipping cup, what I do, I click on remove. So it is removed. Now, if you look at, the price has decreased. And if I want to add some more, I would click on this and click add. So what I'm doing is I am, configuring or buying a product on demand, which is as per my need, right? And the more items I add, the price increases. And the more items I remove from the cart, the price decreases. So it's like on demand and pay as you go. So you got the point, right? What is on demand and what is pay as you go? Okay. The more toppings you add, the price go up. So paying as per your order. Okay. Now, if I go back to the slide, let me go back to the slide. Okay, so if you think the ordering of pizza similar to, it's like customizing computing resources as per your need on demand and pay for what you use, all done via the internet. That is what the definition says. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computing power, database storage, applications, and other IT resources through a cloud services platform via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. Okay, it's like, let's say if you have a requirement to buy some laptop, what would you do? You walk into the store, you look into the the configuration. I want like 16 GB RAM, and I want like 1 TB hard disk, and a touch screen, and it should have in default applications like Microsoft MS Office to be installed, and an antivirus to be installed. So you configure as per your budget. So the same concept has been implemented in the computing technology via the cloud. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to own any physical assets as such. Rather, someone will host all these for you, like the memory, the storage, the applications, and the infrastructure, everything. But you buy the licenses from them and use as per your need and pay as per the consumption. So this is what it says. So am I clear?
Sure.
Okay. Now let's go to so based on the definition, we can come up with 3 basic rules of cloud computing. Any application must obey the 3 rules to call itself as a cloud application. A point to be noted here is I said cloud application here. The cloud application, who would use the application? Ideally, it would be the end users, right? The end users use the application. So all these rules or characteristics are from end users' perspective. So as an end user, if I'm using a cloud application, I should be able to access the application, which is hosted on the internet. And if I want to develop or customize the same application, I should do it via the internet. I don't have to install any software as such. I don't have to configure the properties or anything as such. So it should be done. Everything should be done over the internet, and then which no need for any architecture from my end, and I can customize as per my needs. So that is what the characteristics explain here. So general characteristics, cloud applications are not installable on any device. Cloud applications are on demand. Cloud applications are pay per use. Okay, these are the 3 thumb rules that form the basis of cloud computing and the characteristics. Everything should be done on the internet, like installation, hosting, and accessing, including the development. And it should not be installed on any device. And the cloud application should be on demand. Like if you want to add any configuration, you should be able to add it. If you want to remove any configuration, you should be able to remove it. Everything should be on demand. You don't have to bring down the servers, or you don't have to do any kind of maintenance as such. Okay. And now let's talk about the service models. As Nisha said, and in the diagram, in the first slide that we saw about cloud computing, it talks about three models, right? Application, platform, and infrastructure. And that is what is defined in this slide as well. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in cloud computing, everything is offered as a service. Okay. Software as let me come from the left to from the right to left, because infrastructure is something that we are least bothered. Platform as a service is something that we deal with, and software as a service is something, yes, definitely we would work on it. So software as a service, this is something like no installation of software on your devices. Example is Google Docs. And platform as a service. This model offers an application or software development environment. In order to develop a software, you need to have some kind of application or software development environment that is provided by the PaaS. and infrastructure as a service. We spoke about this. This model provides or supplies with the hardware and the storage. Now, to give you a better picture, I want to take an example. Let's say, for creating this PowerPoint presentation, on my laptop. So can you tell me what are the things I would need?
You just need an internet service.
No. I'm talking about it in general, not the cloud-based model, but in general. I want to create this presentation on my personal laptop.
Sorry, can you come back again?
Yeah, sure. So to create a PowerPoint presentation on my personal laptop, what are the things that I will need?
Oh, like to create a presentation, just like a slides or something?
Right, slides or something.
Okay.
So first of all, I would definitely need a laptop, right?
Yeah,
Laptop.
you need a and
I need a laptop.
software.
Right.
Pre-built
Right, exactly. So I need a laptop, and the laptop should have a storage, and the laptop should be able to perform the computations. Like it should have a RAM to process this PowerPoint, and it should have operating system, of course, to boot up, and Microsoft MS Office software to create this PowerPoint presentation, right?
Yes.
And once I create this PowerPoint presentation, and if I want to share it to someone else, so the way is I can send it via the email. So if I want to send it via email, I should have an internet connection, right?
Yes.
Right. So and now these are all the things that I would need. And again, the end user whom I am sharing this PowerPoint presentation to, he should also have the similar kind of infrastructure. Like he needs to have an internet connection to download this PowerPoint presentation onto his laptop or desktop. And of course, his laptop should have the operating system and memory to store the PowerPoint presentation, right? And to open and watch this PowerPoint presentation, he should have MS Office, Microsoft Office software to be installed. So all this kind of, the infrastructure, like the laptop or MS Office software or storage, should be needed by the host as well as by the end user. Now, this is the typical or the traditional way of, creating a PPT. Now, but let's see how, the things have changed after the introduction of cloud model, okay, and which serves us better in the same scenario. When I say, the cloud model, you don't have to have all this, the physical laptop or, platform as such. So I can explain you the best example is, Google Docs or Google Drive. So have you ever created or shared any documents in the Google?
Yes.
Yes, right. So which is nothing but a cloud-based platform. So if you want to create a PowerPoint presentation in Google Docs or in Google Drive, you just log into your Gmail account, open the Google Drive, and click on create the new slide, right? So do you need software for that? No. But you are creating the same PowerPoint presentations, and are you storing it on your physical laptop? No, you are storing it on the Gmail servers, right? So you don't need the storage there, and you don't need any physical storage, and you don't need Microsoft Office licenses for that. And if you want to share it to someone else, like your friend, what would you do? You just create and click on share, and it is automatically shared to the other end user. And thus, your friend needs to have a laptop. Of course, they need to have a laptop. Even if it's not their own, they can just go to the internet center or any browsing center and open the PowerPoint presentation. But do they need to have Microsoft Office installed? And do they need to have storage to store the PowerPoint presentations? No, nothing is needed, right? So the cloud model here is eliminating all need of physical infrastructure or the platform to build the software applications, right? So everything is eliminated. Everything is eliminated, and everything is shared over the cloud by the host. So am I clear? Any questions so far?
Yes.
Okay, let me reiterate. Cloud computing is a technology or model that allows end users to access applications on demand as a service over the internet and pay as you go. Okay, and you don't have to worry about the software installations, configurations, platforms, or infrastructure. Okay, so this is all about the cloud computing. So if you have any questions, please please feel free to pose a question so that others can understand. If I miss something, probably you can tell me.
Sure. So to put it very in an easy mode, it's just like you have a Gmail account. You can pull out because you have an account. You can
Hmm.
pull it out anywhere on any platform, like on a laptop, on your phone, you know,
Exactly.
any device. You just need
Right.
to have an account.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. And that is what we saw in the first slide. See, the around the cloud, there are several, the devices. It says tablets, phones, desktops, servers, laptops. You can access it through any device that has the ability to connect to the internet and get you the data.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me end this cloud model with another example, which you would like, and I'm sure, and which would give a better explanation of, the cloud computing. It's not the cloud computing, but I would say, which has been in practice before the computers have started. Before the computers, the concept of cloud computing paper usage model. Okay, this is the classic example that I want to give you guys. Okay, at your homes, right? As a consumer, you use electricity and pay monthly bill to the electricity department based on your usage, right? This is very much the exact replica of cloud model. I would say cloud model is a replica of this, or I would say the basis for cloud model is something like this. Now let's look at the picture here. It has three things. At the bottom, you see infrastructure as a host, PaaS and SaaS, platform as a service, and software as a service. So I would give you the clear-cut explanation of this one. At the first, towards the left side, you see the power plant is generating electricity in some facility. So as a consumer, you are using the electricity. So you are just using the electricity, but you are not responsible for generating the electricity, right? Someone else is doing on your behalf. Like they are laying the infrastructure to generate the electricity by the power plant, right? And then once they generate the electricity, they are building all these transformers and transmission lines, to transmit the electricity to the nearest grid, which is nothing but the platform as a service. So the infrastructure as a service in terms of cloud is nothing but a power plant which is generating the electricity, which has all the infrastructure to generate the electricity. Once the electricity is generated, and then it comes the transmission of electricity to the nearest grids, and that is nothing but platform as a service. It is building a kind of providing a kind of a layer to build the applications, nothing but transmitting the electricity to the nearest grids. And from the grid, electricity is consumed by users. So, you use the electricity, and basing on the units you consumed, you pay the electricity bill. Okay, which is nothing but on demand. If you want to, on demand is something like you can add as many power outlets as you want at your home, and then you pay per usage. So does this give you a fair idea of how the cloud computing model works? Okay. I take the silence as yes and proceed to the next slide. Okay. Now, as we spoke on the first slide, we'll go back to the definition of the Salesforce. Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM. So we spoke about what is cloud, and now we will talk about what is CRM. Okay? Before getting into the CRM itself, we need to understand some more things as what is CRM and what is around the CRM. So if you closely observe the picture, it consists of 4 modules circling back, and they are around the CRM, customer relationship management. So it starts with marketing, and then sales. Sales is a cycle, and then orders, and then support, and then marketing. So it is a cycle that repeats forever. Okay, and the best example I can give you is Samsung. They initially started with SCTVs, and they started marketing, sold some millions of TVs, and they haven't stopped there. They came out with better versions. They came up with HDTV, and again started marketing. Again sold those TVs, and came up with Ultra HD, and again came up with LED, OLED, and I don't know, they might end up with ABCD in future. And during this process, they might have sold, millions of televisions to millions of customers. And so in order to sell those products, selling a product always starts with a campaign. They have to, advertise what the kind of product they have manufactured, what are the features of the product that they are going to sell it to the customers, etc., etc. So campaign is something like, it could be of multiple ways. The campaign is nothing but, in layman terms, it's an advertisement. And the advertisement could be in multiple ways. It could be through email. It could be through, physical postal mails. It could be through telephones. It could be through ads. Okay. And after watching this campaign, someone might be interested to buy the product. And they would call the Samsung for an inquiry, which is nothing but a lead. A lead is nothing but a potential inquiry. Okay, so once the inquiry is done, the Samsung captures the information of the contact. Hey, this person from a particular phone number has called our call center asking for information about this Samsung LED TV. So, and the Samsung marketing team provides this information to the sales team. This could be a potential sale that we could sell a TV to this customer. So that is what is recorded in the lead. A lead consists of the contact information. What is the opportunity opportunity to sell a TV to the customer, right? So all this is stored in the form of lead, and then it is handed over to the sales team. The sales team, what they would do is they look into the leads, they call the customers, or they send emails, or they do a follow-ups to the customer, and they convert this lead into an opportunity. Opportunity is nothing but a potential or revenue generating unit, which could be something a potential deal that could be selling a TV. And once the opportunity is completed, it is converted into a quote. Quote is nothing but it is related to opportunity where the customer is interested to buy some kind of product with the Samsung. It has all the details of what is the opportunity and how many products that he wants to purchase, etc., etc. So all these are covered up in the quote. And then comes the ordering process. So once order is nothing but the purchase of the final product. This is where most of the the integrations happen in the CRM world. And once the order is confirmed, it is shipped to the customer. The product is delivered, which is nothing but done by which is done by the fulfillment of the delivery center. And see, again, I don't want you to get confused on the terminology. We would learn all this in the training, and since this is a demo, I'm just giving you an overview of what exactly the CRM and sales cycle is. So hope you just catch the points, whatever I say. Okay, and then once the order is completed, next comes the post sales, which is nothing but the support. So here, if you have any issue with the television or the product you bought from the company, definitely you would contact the call center. So or the dealer that you bought it from. So in this case, the company has to know who you are, what kind of product you purchased, and if the product has any kind of warranty as such. So all this kind of information is tracked in the support module. So the sales cycle is a repetitive process, and if you look at the picture, it revolves or it is around the customer relationship management. So it is a data-centric approach. Okay, so all this information is tracked in the customer relationship management. Any questions here?
I'm good.
Okay. So now let's understand what is a CRM. So these are some points we can walk through. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. CRM has a data-centric approach. All data can be collected and stored. A 360 view of customer available. Product information is available at one place, and history of service calls, blah, blah, blah. So it talks about all these points. So let's understand what exactly is CRM. CRM is a technology for managing all your company's relationships and interactions with customers and potential customers. The goal is simple. Every company that sells products to the customer, they want to improve business relationship with the customers. They want to retain the customers and provide the best of the service that they could. And CRM system helps companies to stay connected to the customers. With the help of CRM, they can streamline the processes and improve profitability. Okay. Let's say, why we need CRM, first of all. Why is CRM needed? So as an organization, it has various processes, like various teams are involved. If you look at the marketing cycle here, marketing team is involved. They do their job and hand it over to the sales. Sales team does their job and hand it over to the orders team. Orders in the sense, fulfillment team. And then once the product is delivered to the customer, and in case of any future support, then the support team comes into picture. So there are a couple of teams involved in this entire sales cycle, which are independent of each other. In the sense, the marketing does not know what sales team is doing, and sales team does not know what marketing is doing. They might have, an overall idea of what they're doing, but not to the internal details, right? So all this coordination would happen in customer relationship management. Like CRM stores all the information of the customer, like the names, email addresses, which company they are working for, and the addresses, the payment methods, what are all the products that the customer has bought, and when did he bought the products, and is there any warranty on the product? If there is a warranty, how long the warranty is applied, and did the customer have any issues with the purchased products, etc. And how is he communicating with the company? Is it via emails, phone calls, chat, etc. So the company has to have a complete picture of customers, so that they can retain the customer as well as provide better service to the customer. Let's say if let's say there is no CRM, and the company is manufacturing the products and selling to the customers, and there is no CRM implementation for them. And the product is sold to a customer, and customer found it to be defective. And the customer complained to, the customer called up the company who sold this product and said, hey, I bought this XYZ product from you, and it is very defective. The moment the moment the customer calls the company, they would expect at least kind of response saying that, hey, okay, so if you have this issue, try doing this or try doing that. But instead of that, if the customer expects something else, saying that, the company says, I don't know who you are, I don't know what product you bought, and I don't know what kind of warranty you have on the product. If customer hears that kind of response from a company, do you think anyone would go ahead and buy the product from them? Definitely not, right? So is rather he would buy it from someone else. So ultimately the company is losing revenue here. So to retain the customer, the company has to store the customer information and take decisions. Uh, let me give you a classic example, which I worked, or which I feel. I was working for an automotive company, and they launched a new model. And during the same time, what they did is they changed the vendor for some mechanical component. In the in the car, there could be a couple of mechanical components, right? So one of the mechanical component in the car is manufactured by some vendor A, but the same, it was given to a new vendor now to see how he manufactures. So the model has been introduced into the market, but the company doesn't have any clue of whether the mechanical component is performing well in the car as expected or not, because they cannot take each and every piece of that mechanical component out and test that, right? The only way that they could know whether that mechanical component is working fine or not is by the customers, because if they don't hear any complaints by the customers or from the customers, then they can it's sure that the mechanical component is working fine. If they receive any complaints saying that this mechanical component is failing, then they could take certain action. So it's fortunately, unfortunately, within the launch of the vehicle, the company has received some n number of complaints from the customer, and the problem seemed to be related to the new mechanical component that they have rolled out. So the company obviously has to recall the cars, and they replace the mechanical component. Now, how did the company do that? To recall the cars, the company has to have the information of the customers, right, to whom they sold the cars to. And similarly, how could they get the insights of the customer issues that is being tracked in the CRM? So with the usage of CRM, they would understand the product very well. They could understand the demands of the customer, what the customers are expecting from the company, as well as they could increase the revenue, and they could better serve the customer, and they could better do in the market, in the competitive world. So that is where the CRM comes into picture. So are we clear about what is CRM?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sure this is completely clear, theoretical. It would be boring, but I'm just trying to give you the insights.
Yeah, it you can also put it as like it gives you a real-time updates as like a
Mhm.
field. Mm, some lead gets updated. It's real time all across.
Right, right. Yeah, that definitely I would be discussing in the training. Okay. Let me go to the next slide. So here we are. What is Salesforce? So this is the topic of our interest. Okay. Again, it's the same thing. What Nisha has said. Company cloud-based CRM solution. Yes, that is absolutely right. And Salesforce.com is the name of the company which has implemented the Salesforce, which is nothing but a CRM solution on a cloud. Okay. And when it comes to the Salesforce, as I said, it obeys all the three rules of cloud computing. The development of the Salesforce application is done on the internet, and it is hosted on the internet, accessed via the internet. So you don't need to install any software related to Salesforce on your system. You just have to access the application via the internet using a browser like Chrome, IE, or Firefox, and you can develop your customize the Salesforce functionality on your own, and it also, like, applications are on demand. When I say on demand, when you buy Salesforce, you have to buy licenses, like example, how many users you have, what kind of functionality you need, etc. Depending upon your business, depending upon the requirements of the business, you buy the licenses from Salesforce. We would look into the Salesforce application. I would show you how to register for a developer account, and I would navigate through the Salesforce application as well. So, on a nutshell, Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM which allows the business to implement the CRM solution on a cloud. Okay, and let me show you how to create a developer edition in the Salesforce. Okay, so getting a Salesforce developer account is pretty easy. You could do it if you have a valid email address. And trust me, you can do whatever you want, but with limited functionality. Because since this is a developer edition, you won't get all the functionalities available, but most of the things you can develop as a kind of a POCs that you can, which should be good enough for learning the Salesforce. Okay, so let's not this time. We'll go ahead and register one. Collapse. June 2018. This is not valid. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it has to be a unique to Salesforce.
Right. I have created a address. So Teklabs. So you just go to developer.salesforce.com and sign up. So once you provide all these details, it would send an email to your account, which I have already here. Let me wait. Okay, so we got that. You just have to verify your account. Okay, it's asking for a password. I was born in city. Switch to classic Salesforce. Okay, so this is the Salesforce. So what we have done here, did we install any software to access the Salesforce application? No. And we have accessed it via the internet. We went into the, we opened the browser, we opened the Salesforce URL, we subscribed, and then we are accessing the Salesforce application through the internet. So we haven't installed any software, we don't need any kind of storage, we don't need any kind of infrastructure, only just the internet connection and a device to access the internet. So that is what we have done here. And so this is how the Salesforce looks. And these are called as, screens. let me go to this application. So I was explaining you the different modules, right? Sales, service, and marketing. So by default, when you purchase a license from the Salesforce, this is what you get. And depending upon the business requirement, they, and the number of users, the organization or the company purchases these licenses from the Salesforce. So if you click on, navigate to the right and click on this drop down, you see different modules here. If I click on sales module, the screen changes and it comes up with different, like, the sales consists of campaigns, leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, forecasts, contracts, orders, cases, right? So this, if you purchase this model, you would have access to all these objects by default, which provides the basic information of what the campaign is all about, and this is the basic configuration. Like, it has the out of the box fields, like what does a campaign hold, the campaign name, the type of campaign, and the status, etc., etc. So this is what we call as the default functionality that Salesforce provides. And depending upon the business need, you would develop or customize the functionality. And each and every business or each and every organization has their own set of business policies. So if you're working for some XYZ company, they have their own policies of selling the products, right? So basing on their need, you would customize. Similarly, and not to worry, I would discuss everything about, what is campaign, what is lead, accounts, contacts, and opportunities in the training. We have almost like 3 hours for this one. So I would go through each and every object and explain the significance of what account, contact, and opportunities, and cases, orders, etc. So now this is about the Salesforce. So let me show you another thing here. So I go to marketing. So you see the screens are restricted now because marketing team does not have to have access to orders or accounts or contacts or anything as such, because they need the max of campaigns. And once the campaign is ran, they get leads. That is what is recorded in the system. And once the lead is converted, it is converted into contacts or opportunities. That is what the marketing team has access. And if you go to service, see, service is nothing but after sales. This is something like a support module, where once a customer has bought a product from the company, they would contact the company in for any issues that they have, or to figure out any to know much about the product. Those are all recorded in terms of cases. Okay. Now let me go to PowerPoint. Okay. So now we will see how Salesforce fits into the cloud models. So Salesforce, since it is a cloud application, it has to satisfy or fit in all the models that a cloud computing does, like software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So Salesforce comes in different verticals which are pre-developed, as I showed you, sales, service, and marketing, and each of the modules serves a purpose. So all of these modules are provided as service. You don't have to reconfigure everything, but rather it is provided as a service, and if you want, you can customize it on demand. That is what the software as a service is, and pay as you go. Like the modules that you buy, and basing on number of licenses, the Salesforce would charge you, and you would pay as per the usage. Salesforce as platform as a service. So since it provides the software as a service, it has to provide the platform as well to build and customize application. Yes, Salesforce has the force.com, which is the native of Salesforce, where you can build applications, where you can customize the applications. Okay, and Heroku is something like you can build websites or applications that are outside of the Salesforce. Okay, these are the two modules that are provided by the Salesforce as platform as a service and Salesforce as infrastructure as a service. So this is taken care by the Salesforce because we are not bothered as an end user or as a company buying the Salesforce and least bothered about underlying hardware, storage, and networking. So everything is taken care by the Salesforce. The only thing that you need to do is you buy the licenses, you configure the application, and deploy the application, which is used by the end users. Okay, so any questions here?
I'm good.
Okay, so the next slide talks about the course curriculum here. So this is where I would like to explain, take some more time as what we would be learning. So introduction to cloud computing and Salesforce CRM. Of course, we would be going through the same concepts again, but in depth, like what are the services, and we would navigate through the Salesforce. Like we would see the standard applications, standard tabs, what we have, and how to set up the application, like application setup, administration setup, etc. And we would go through the sales cloud concepts of like what account means and what opportunity is, what is the significance of a contact, product, price books. We would discuss in detail about campaign leads, and then what are the various concepts that comes into leads, like assignment rules, auto response, what are web to lead, what is the lead process, lead quality, and then quote process, and how orders are generated. So these are all, we would discuss all this in the first, first 3 hours, the first class. And of course, we would talk about the app exchange as well, how app exchange comes into picture. If you want to customize the application, which is not provided by the Salesforce, call it as out of the box functionality, then obviously, you would try to build it on your own, or if someone has already built it and selling it, you would use that application, or you would purchase that module from app exchange. So we would talk about that as well. And then we have 2 classes, which is, we will spend absolutely like 6 hours, nearly 6 hours here for Salesforce administration. Here we would discuss in detail about managing the users. Like what is a role, what is a profile, how to create a user, and what is the significance of profile and role, what are permission sets. Okay, these are the basics that every Salesforce developer or every Salesforce user or every Salesforce administrator has to have or must know. So we would discuss in detail about this, and then we would talk about the point and click functionality of the like with the workflows, creating custom objects, creating tabs, fields, checklists, and fields dependencies, how the layout management is done, how to create the formulas, cross-object formulas, validation rules, etc. So these are all part of the development, like part of the application. Even a Salesforce administrator, and Nisha, I'm sure you might have a good knowledge of all this, like the validation rules, cross-object formulas, and workflows as such.
Yes, sir.
Right. And then as part of, oops. And as part of, Salesforce administration, we would look into the relationships. What kind of relationships does Salesforce provide, and why relationships are important? How objects talk to each other. Like if I have an account, how is it related to the contact? How contact is related to the account? We have to understand this. And trust me, if you understand the relations, the fetching of data, you would have a conceptualization or a visualization of how data is flowing inside the system. So understanding relationship is very important. We would at least spend 30 minutes for this to understand this relationship. And then comes the access control mechanism, and followed by workflows and process builder. In access control mechanism, I would talk about, organization level security, object level security, field level security, record level security as such. As we saw, sales team and marketing team are two different teams. They shouldn't have access to each other records. Like, marketing team should see the campaigns, but, a sales team does not have access, should not have access to the campaigns. So how do we restrict such kind of visibility in the application?
Yeah, it's controlling
And
the data visibility.
exactly, controlling the data as well as the record visibility as well as the field level. Let's say, sales and marketing team might be using the same layout. Leads are common for sales and marketing team. If they are using the same layout, which fields should be visible to sales team and which fields should be hidden to the marketing team? We would discuss in detail about that, right? So these all we discuss in the Salesforce administration, and then we would go on to the object-oriented programming basics. And I think it was Richa or Reshmi, I believe. You asked this question, right? How many hours we will be spending? Ruchi, right? So Ruchi, we would be spending only 3 hours. I know you say, does 3 hours would be enough for us to complete the programming? Yes, I clearly mentioned object-oriented programming basics. I would be covering the topics which are required only from a Salesforce development point of view. Because when I say object-oriented programming, it's ocean. If you start it now, you might end up in 6 months. But here we would be, covering only those basics which we would use from point of Apex development. So it would be very easy for us. I'm confident that it should be very easy for you. So let me give you some examples of what we would cover in the basics of OOPS, like lexicals, tokens, identifiers, variables, data types, access modifiers, if-else ladders, loops, methods, classes, inheritance, and overloading. And yeah, these are the topics. You might feel that, there are many topics, but once you understand the flow, it would be very easy for you, just like a cakewalk. It would be very easy for you. Okay. And then we would jump on to Apex, which is almost like, we would be spending 5 classes, 15 hours. So in this, I would introduce you to the governor limits, the Salesforce architecture, and introduce to various IDEs. That's how to write the code. And I would introduce you to the browser add-ons, to search the metadata and all. And I would introduce you to the collections, how the data is stored in Apex. Like if you want to store the data and perform some operations, I would introduce you to the collections, SQL and Sourcewell. Don't be afraid. SQL is very easy when compared to SQL. SQL requires a lot of talent, and you need to understand the database RDBMS concepts. But SQL, no. If you understand the relations what I explained in the admin course, you are good to go to write the SQL. It's hardly, it has almost 10 or max of 10 syntaxes. And while writing the code, you will get used to it. 10 syntaxes, a max of 10 syntaxes, 10 statements. That's it.
It's like a little bit Java based, like it's more like Java.
No, not even Java based. SQL is Salesforce object query language. It is native to Salesforce. It doesn't work anywhere. It works only in the Apex. And trust me, it is not as complex as SQL. As I said, only one statement. Select statement itself has 10 syntaxes. So you'll be used to it.
Yeah. Sorry, I got it.
Yeah, the only catch is you need to understand the relationship. So if you are talking to 2 objects, you need to understand how account is related to contact. If you get catch of that, you are good to go. You're good to go to catch the data and visualize the data. Okay, and next we talk about the DML operations. Basically, the DML is nothing but performing the database operations like inserts or updates. And this is also a one-line statement, which would be very easy to understand. And I will give you the clear-cut explanation or scenarios as when you would go for insert and when you would go for delete. And then we would discuss in detail about the asynchronous apex, which is nothing but, calling the future methods. Like asynchronous calls are something like, you submit a job to the server executes the job and comes back with a response. So we would discuss in detail about future methods, batch apex, scheduling apex, queuable apex, etc., etc. And yes, the heart of apex is triggers. We would discuss in detail about triggers. What are the trigger events and what are the trigger context variables, like when to write before triggers, when to write after triggers, what are the consideration in writing the triggers. So this is absolutely, like triggers. If you follow a kind of a template, it would be the same for each and every implementation that you do. It's a kind of a template you have to follow. And if you follow that template, same, no matter which company you go, which organization you go, it's consistent across the implementations. And then we would talk about, extensions, custom settings, custom metadata types, and Apex managed shells, etc., etc. And also, I would give you an overview of how the deployments are done, because we would be working on the developer editions. Developer editions does not support deployment mechanisms, so I cannot show you. But if there is a chance, I can show you or share my live experiences from my project itself. If there is any deployment that I would do, I would record that session and provide it to you, or explain it to you live. And then we would spend at least 4 hours on Visualforce. Visualforce is nothing but the UI development in Salesforce. If you want to develop any pages in the Salesforce, this is where the Visualforce is done. And the traditional way of developing UI is you need to have knowledge in HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, etc., etc. But here in Visualforce, you don't need to have all that. Apex has its own components. Apex has its own components where you can, you need to know the name of the components, and it would be very easy for you. So, if you want to expose a text box, you just add that line of statement in the Visualforce page, input text box, then the input text box is visible. And similarly, if you want to add a pick list, you can configure a pick list. Similarly, checkbox, radio button. So all these kinds of components can be added to the Visualforce page. And of course, I will teach you the basics of JavaScript as well. Again, it is restricted to whatever we use or come across in terms of Salesforce development. It would be very easy. Okay, so we would go through, the Visualforce page development. We would talk about input components, output components, and JavaScript in Visualforce page, jQuery in Visualforce page, how to write Ajax in Visualforce page. So everything is, covered in detail, and each of the component that we cover in Visualforce page would be a practical. It's not theoretical. From Salesforce administration is a combination of theory and practical, but from object-oriented programming, everything is practical. So you would be doing, or you would be writing along with me the code, and you would be developing the applications, and I would give you some, worksheets or assignments that you have to practice. So everything is practical, not theory anymore, from second class onwards. And then the important is the integration. Okay, this is one real piece. Every requirement. It's like Salesforce is very easy to integrate with any application. It can be integrated with, a legacy application, and it can be integrated with the latest application as well. So when it comes to the Salesforce implementation, integrations are must. So you need to have knowledge of integration. And I would spend, 4 hours. Honestly, 4 hours is not enough for integration, but I would cover each and every topic in detail. The only theory would be, OAuth, like how do you authenticate with the Salesforce? That would be the theory, and we would go with, practical sessions of SOAP API, REST-based integration, Apex REST, web services. In this, we would, I would try to give you a Java program which you can run on your desktop and connect to your Salesforce. You can, you know, create a case from your Java program in the Salesforce. Similarly, you can integrate a two Salesforce applications like Salesforce 1 and Salesforce 2. So if you create a case in Salesforce 1, it is automatically created in Salesforce 2. Similarly, if you update case in Salesforce 2, you can see the updates in Salesforce 1. We would work through all the solutions in the integration. Okay. And then finally, the interview preparation. So I would help you in preparing the resumes, and we would be conducting some mock interviews as well, and then FAQs. And I should be honest, I would not entertain any proxy interviews. Don't expect any kind of proxy interviews from me, because I want you to learn, because you're spending some money. It's your responsibility to learn and harness your skills. See, if I say that I would be ready for proxy interviews, definitely you would concentrate on proxy rather than understanding the application, which I don't want to. I have a set of like 100 questions prepared for myself, which is an exhaustive list. If you are at least if you go through the 70 questions, you can consider yourself as a complete Salesforce developer. You would be you would answer any kind of challenge in Salesforce administration, in development, Visual Force integration. I can assure you that you would be able to tackle any kind of interview with the questions that I give you. So this is the entire course curriculum. It is of 6 weeks, and I'm targeting it like 3 classes per week, which would be 3 hours for each class and total 9 hours a week. Okay. So any questions, anything that you think that you are missing here in this course curriculum, Sash?
One thing is, if the integration is the part I have not touched it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have tried to trailblaze with the Apex and Visual Force. So this is the only part I have not touched, the integration.
Integration, yeah. So Nisha, no two integrations are same when it comes to any implementation, but the ideology behind the integration is same. 2 external systems talk to each other, right? It's like one application would be on a different technology and the other application would be on a different technology. So first of all, in order to have a communication with them, we have to have a kind of authentication. They should authenticate. They should shake hands first, saying that, hey, I am A and I am B. So once they agree, then they should start transmitting the data. So authentication is one topic, and then transmitting the data. So when the external system sends the data to Salesforce, it has to understand convert the data into Salesforce format and then send the response.
Okay, now I get it. I did do the authentication, yes. See,
right.
I've been just trailblazing and doing the badges. Now I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
So
how far is this relevant to the admin?
Admin?
Yeah, if you have to go as a Salesforce admin.
Salesforce admin with respect to integration, yeah, they might be involved in creating the connected app. Okay, setting up the profiles and roles for the user that they would be using to, and also in terms of if there is any issue like debugging the integration issue, like if there is any breakage in the communication or the data.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about the career opportunities. There are lots and lots of openings in Salesforce domain, irrespective of the industry, be it a banking industry, automobile, insurance, healthcare, telecom, whatnot. Everyone who sells products to a customer or end user has to implement CRM. Even Google has Salesforce implementation. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Amazon, everyone, everyone has Salesforce implementation. Big implementation. And big companies are hiring resources who are already in US, you know, rather than bringing the people on site because because of the recent immigration policies, they are not preferring to bring people to the on site. Rather, if you are experienced and well trained in Salesforce and well acquainted with the concepts of Salesforce, then you are ready to get into a job. And so
But
people
there's a
like you.
hurdle, like you need us. They ask for experience, so that's the biggest hurdle.
Right, that's the biggest hurdle. But uh, see, even if you have no experience in Salesforce, but if you're confident enough to answer the questions, to give them, hey, this is what I know. If you're looking for some writing a batch program, hey, this is what I know. Why the batch program is used for, and why can't we do that in triggers? If you can explain the ideology behind the core concepts, right? They will definitely
Okay.
hire you. No, it's like, see, coding is like, every can do write a program and do it in their own way. If I ask you to, if I give you a problem to solve, like, if I give you two numbers and ask you to give me the output as 10, see, you might be doing an addition, and Risha might be doing a subtraction, and Reshma might be doing a multiplication, right? So everyone has their own way of solving the problem, but the underlying concept is something that you need to possess. If you are given any problem, you should have the ability to solve that, right? So that is what I would concentrate much more on this training. It's like you can attend some other trainings as well, but the difference that I see in my candidates is they are ready to ready to face any kind of problem, and they would definitely succeed in fixing the problems itself, in working on development scenarios or anything.
Sure.
Okay. And as I said, if you have completed this training, the positions that you could apply are for BA or consultant or a developer. And if you listen to my classes and work on the examples that I give you, you should be good enough to work on any requirement. Any requirement. And as I said, extremely hot. As of now, the consultants are being paid the least as $60 per hour, and the highest as 110 for contractors in Salesforce. In Salesforce. So, I would help you in putting up the projects and drafting the resume. For sure, you will definitely get the calls. And once you go through this training and go through the mock interviews and go through the questionnaires that I give you for interviews, you would be definitely tackling the interviews. That is for sure. And I can assure you, you can complete platform certified developer one certification as well. After this training, you should be able to.
Okay, I have a question. Is
Mm-hmm.
it like, do you guys help in placement and interview, or is it just a training?
That's a good question. Probably, Mona or the company should be able to answer that question.
Okay, gotcha.
You can check with them.
So probably, I think she was telling me uh, where is my stance. Like you should be able to assess me.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. So, is
Yeah,
it I?
yeah, you as a trainer.
Uh-huh.
If I am ready, like to go for an interview or not, probably you would be the better person to assess.
Oh, right, right, right. I would assist you, and I would assist you in definitely, but not, as I said, I would not assist you in the interviews, but I would assist you till the interviews.
Yeah, no, no, no. What I'm telling is now I already have a certification. I
Hmm.
want to know where I'm standing now. Like if I'm ready to go for interview, if I'm ready to take it, if I'm ready to be marketed. That's the whole idea.
I'm again confused. Are you talking about the right now or after taking the
Yes,
training?
right now because I'm already certified.
Okay.
I've already earned some badges.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you the basic question. So since you are from administration background itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one basic question would be, see, let's say I have a requirement, uh, account and contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to update a field on the account basing on
Mm-hmm.
any modification done on the contact.
Mm-hmm.
So how would I achieve this requirement?
You do a master detail relation.
Right? Those two are master detail, absolutely right. But I said, the requirement, the question here is, if I update any field or any data in the contact,
Mm-hmm. It should
the
reflect
same
on the
information account,
account.
right?
So
How
you
would you
do a
achieve this?
roll-up summary.
Okay, roll-up summary is a different thing. I said,
Oh, you.
right. So I'm not talking about any aggregation like sum or count.
Okay, let me think about this.
Right.
So you want the data from the account,
No, from the contact to be
from the
rolled up to
contact
the account.
to reflect on the account.
Right. Let's say I have exposed a field called uh, field to update on account. It's a text field
Okay.
on the contact. Okay. The moment you enter A
Mm-hmm.
in the in that field, the A should be updated in the account on some XYZ field. So if you update it to B on contact, that should be updated to B. If you update it to D on contact, it should be updated to D on account.
Okay, okay, I got it. So whatever you a field update is done on the contact, it should show when you open the account, it should show there.
Right.
Okay. So how do I do that?
Yes. I'm trying to assist you.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. I'm trying to think now how to do. Okay.
This is a simple requirement, but it has got various ways to deal with the solution.
Okay, so you go. Yeah, one is the master detail relation. You do it.
Hmm.
So those two object reference each other,
Right, which is out of the
and
box.
yeah, out of the box. And then for the field update to be done, okay, I forgot. I have to really think now.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this kind of, when you come across this kind of requirements, there are multiple ways. So after attending the training, you would be able to judge which is the best approach.
Yeah, no, no, no. I do know, but I have to just go through it. I've just completely forgotten now.
Yeah. Right.
Uh-huh. So one is you can do like mm, you have to be able to go fetch. What is it called? I can't remember. I'm so blank. Mm. Can you give me a hint?
Yes. Yes. You want to give me a hint?
Yeah, you give me a hint. Let me see if I can figure it out.
Okay. I think the answer lies in you said master detail relationship. So
Yeah.
can you do it by the workflows?
Okay. Create one like if this field like go write a like in the formula field or what it is called, right? If this field is updated and go. to the account, this field has to be mm, updated as well.
Right. So you can do that using the cross object workflow, because
Formula.
we do already have the master detail relationship, right? So you write a workflow rule on the contact, and whenever this field is updated, you put in the action as to update the field of account. That is a simple.
Yes, I know.
And if it includes
Mm-hmm.
multiple conditions,
Mm-hmm.
complex conditions, then you go by the process builder. And if it includes looking into the data, and based on the conditions, if you want to update the field, then you go by the triggers.
Yeah, you just trigger it and it has to
Right.
go update there.
Right.
It's a like a time-based trigger or like now trigger.
No, triggers are not time based. So workflow has
Workflow is the
action which
time-based
is
and
based on
action.
the time based actions.
Oh,
Triggers
I'm
are
so
not time
sorry.
based. They are
We'll
instant delivery.
prepare and I'll prepare and do it. I was just
No,
not
that's okay.
prepared.
That's okay. That's absolutely fine.
No, I'm feeling a bummer. I have to prepare and come back.
Right. See, the thing is, there is one caveat here. Uh, Preparing is something different. If you keep on exploring or working
Yes.
on the problems, that's when you would be tend to think. Your brain starts thinking about the solutions, and it knocks you with solutions.
Yeah, see, this is where I need help. I have to keep thinking the scenarios and solving the problems.
Right.
So I really need help on that, actually facing a live interview just like you did now.
Yeah.
So is that a possibility I can get help?
Okay. So, any questions? Any questions? Okay, this is it then, and I think hope you all gained some idea about what is presented in the demo, and I hope to see you all in training. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Hi, Mona. Mona, you there? Mona, I'm disconnecting from the call. Is that okay?